Acts of the Apostles, chapter 22. Today I want to share a story that's as powerful today as it was 2,000 years ago. A story of courage, conviction, and transformation. This chapter tells the story of the Apostle Paul, once a fierce opponent of Christianity, who became one of the most devoted advocates. His journey is a testament to how an encounter with truth can completely change a person's life. Let's explore this story and draw lessons that inspire us to face challenges, embrace change, and stand firm in our beliefs. Now, this chapter begins with Paul standing before an angry crowd in Jerusalem. He was accused of defiling the temple, causing unrest among the people. Amid the chaos, Paul, with the courage that only conviction can give, raises his voice to share his personal story, not as a mere defense, but as a testimony to how God and his power can transform a life. Now, Paul begins his address by identifying himself. He tells the crowd that he is a Jew, born in Tarsus, a city well known for its learning and cultural richness. However, he emphasizes that he was brought up in Jerusalem, learning under Gamaliel, a revered teacher of the law and one of the most respected figures in Jewish history. Now, Paul wasn't just an average student. He was a man of intense dedication and zeal for the traditions of his ancestors. He passionately persecuted Christians, believing it was his divine duty to uphold the sanctity of his faith. Now, by sharing his background, Paul connects with the crowd. He isn't an outsider. He's one of them, a man who once held the same beliefs and values. And this reminds us that transformation can come from even the most unwavering individuals when they encounter the truth. So think about that. No matter how deeply ingrained our beliefs and habits are, we all have the potential to change when faced with profound truth. And Paul's story encourages us to remain open to transformation, even when it challenges everything we once stood for. So the heart of Paul's story lies in his encounter on the road to Damascus. With the authority of the high priest, Paul was on his way to arrest followers of Jesus and bring them to Jerusalem for punishment. Suddenly, a light from heaven, brighter than the sun, surrounded him, and it was so intense that it forced him to the ground. In that moment, he heard a voice saying, "Saul, Saul, why do you persecute me?" And Paul was shocked and asked, "Who are you, Lord?" And the voice replied, "I am Jesus of Nazareth, whom you are persecuting." And this single revelation shattered Paul's understanding of righteousness. He realized that by persecuting Christians, he was persecuting the very Messiah he thought he was defending against. And this encounter teaches us that God knows us personally and intervenes at pivotal moments in our life to guide us toward the truth. Jesus' words show that he identifies so closely with his followers that any harm done to them is as though it were being done to him. And this emphasizes the deep personal connection between Jesus and his people. So think about that. This moment teaches us to reflect on how we treat others. Our actions toward people around us reflect our understanding of God's love and compassion. It calls us to see the humanity and divine image in everyone. So, blind and humbled, Paul was led to Damascus. There, a man named Ananias, who was devout and respected by all the Jews in the city, received a vision from God to go and help Paul. Even though Ananias knew Paul's reputation as a persecutor, He obeyed God's command and went to him. He placed his hands on Paul, restoring his sight, and said, "The God of our ancestors has chosen you to know his will, and to see the righteous one, and to hear words from his mouth." Now, Ananias' role in this story is a reminder that obedience and faithfulness can have profound impacts. Despite knowing the risks, he chose to follow God's instructions, and his act of courage and kindness played a crucial part in Paul's transformation. So think about that for a minute. We often underestimate the importance of our role in other people's lives as well. Ananias' example teaches us that we may be called to reach out to others, even when it's uncomfortable or risky. It is through these moments of faith that we help others fulfill their destiny. Now, after his conversion, Paul was called to a mission that shocked the Jewish community. He was chosen not just to share the message of Jesus with the Jews, but to be a light to the Gentiles, people who were considered outsiders by many of his peers. Now, Paul shared how Jesus said to him, "Go, I will send you far away to the Gentiles." And this was a turning point that ignited anger in the crowd. The idea that salvation and God's message were for all people was revolutionary and challenged their deeply held beliefs. And Paul's mission was not limited by cultural or religious boundaries. It was inclusive, stretching far beyond the comfort of familiar places. This was a radical change from being someone who once sought to exclude others to becoming an advocate for the very inclusivity he once opposed. Think about it though. This part of Paul's story invites us to reflect on our own boundaries. Are we willing to share love and kindness beyond our comfort zones? Are we open to including those we once dismissed or misunderstood? I believe that Paul's mission reminds us that God's love is for all, regardless of background or beliefs. And this chapter isn't just a chapter in a book. It's a call to each of us. It tells us that no matter who we are or what our past looks like, transformation is possible when we open our hearts to truth. It challenges us to think about our own moments of growth and change, and whether we have been brave enough to step into the unknown for the sake of what is right. As you leave here today, I encourage you to reflect on Paul's journey and ask yourself, are you open to moments of transformation? Are you willing to listen when the voice of truth calls, even if it means facing discomfort or letting go of long-held beliefs? And most importantly, are you ready to be an Ananias in someone else's life, helping guide them when they need it most? Let Paul's courage inspire you today. Transformation begins when we say yes to the journey, even when the road ahead is unknown. Stand firm in your beliefs and embrace the call to change and to be the light that helps others find their way. As you leave here today, go out and live with purpose, knowing that your story, like Paul's, can touch and transform the world around you. I just love this time we spend together every day. I'm going to be back tomorrow and discuss the Acts of the Apostles, chapter 23, where we'll continue Paul's story, I hope. I'm really looking forward to finding out what happens next. I hope you are as well. I can't wait to see you. This is the most important part of my day, the time I get to spend with you. Because I like you, I care about you, and you know what? I believe in you, and I know if anybody's worth it, you are. I'll see you tomorrow, friends. Take care.